Ashli Babbitt. I'm flabbergasted that I didn't hear this when it broke, because the story broke 4 or 5 days ago. We've been covering it from the beginning. Ashli Babbitt, for those of you who don't know, is arguably the only person to have been killed through homicide, because it was an act of man, but some of us might believe that it was closer to killed by way of murder by Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd. We've been following it from day one. And I say arguably the only person because there's Roseanne Boyland, who was also arguably, but not arguably, beaten by police, then trampled, and she also died. But the legacy media that said Officer Brian Sicknick, was murdered by Trump protesters, hit on the head with a fire extinguisher. Lies, lies, lies. He died of a stroke the next day. Some people tried to tie it to pepper spray exposure, but he was not murdered or homicided, period. Ashli Babbitt was killed. Roseanne Boyland died, and they tried to say it was methamphetamine overdose, when in reality, it looks like she was beaten and trampled by police. And what they tried to call methamphetamine was actually her ADD medication, which is an amphetamine. And it's the same type of medication, but not the drug. And they lied about her death. Set that aside. I wanted to have someone from the Epoch Times on, who wrote an article, did a whole expose on that, because Roseanne Boyland's death or killing is one of the more untold stories of that day. Ashli Babbitt is a tragedy of that day, because she was shot point blank by Michael Byrd. I'm not going to play the video because it's a terrible video to watch. Some people are going to say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, fuck around, find out. And when you're trying to jump through a broken window after having broken in or entered the Capitol building where there are very important people, you're asking for trouble. And to quote Jules again out of Pulp Fiction, you can expect a reaction to reasonably predict summary execution by a police officer with a tarnished history, though possible, would not be high on the end of the spectrum of realms of possibilities. She was summarily executed by Michael Byrd. Some people say it was a legitimate self-defense. Those people are idiots. At best, it was doing something stupid and bad things happen. And at worst, it was cold-blooded killing, but even worse than that. And we're going to get into it, because there are some people, and I don't blame them, who might even think that it was deliberate, that they needed someone to die that day so that they could then say it was a deadly protest, and that Ashli Babbitt was the one that Michael Byrd selected for summary execution, so they could then say, look how violent this insurrection was. One of Trump's supporters got killed as a result of his instructions to enter the Capitol. That is what some people might entertain by way of an alternate theory, and I cannot say that it's unreasonable. Ashli Babbitt shot once, upper torso through the neck, bled out, and Michael Byrd was hailed as a hero by the media. He was cleared of criminal wrongdoing, and the family filed a wrongful death. They had to go through the procedure, 6 months filing a claim, let the Capitol Police investigate, determine if they're going to take it up or not. We've covered that at length in previous Sunday Night Streams with Barnes. She filed the civil claim, and this was under the Biden administration. And now that the Trump administration is in power, they've taken over the case, and it would appear that they have settled. Unclear if they've settled for the full $30 million that Ashli Babbitt's family was suing for, but they've settled. There's not enough money on earth that could ever compensate someone for the death of their daughter, sister, wife. I'm not sure if she was married. There's not enough money on earth. And there's also going to be this paradox or this guilt that the family, if they get 10, 20, $30 million to get rich, and I put it in quotes, off the death of their daughter, is going to be a source of, it'll make them feel sick that this is how throw money at taking of a life, and that some people are going to say payday, as if they would have taken any amount of money on earth in substitute for their daughter. Ashli Babbitt's estate, DOJ moved to settle $30 million wrongful death lawsuit. There was a whole procedure they had to go through. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it. Veteran, Air Force veteran. Some people are going to say she should have known better than trying to jump through a broken window. And others might say in the escalation of force, you don't go from zero to lethal force like that. Pepper spray, taser, I don't know. Michael Byrd could have just as easily killed any one of the cops that was around Ashli Babbitt. That bullet doesn't just stop when it hits someone's torso. Reckless, murderous. The Department of Justice has reached a preliminary settlement with the family of Ashli Babbitt, Air Force veteran and Trump supporter who was shot and killed by Capitol Police officer at the January 6, 2021 riot. So at least they're not calling it an insurrection. Where are we at? Yeah, New York Post. Lawyers from Trump's DOJ and Babbitt's estate informed the DC federal judge Friday of an agreement that has been reached in principle in the $30 million wrongful death. It doesn't mean it's a $30 million settlement, everybody, so don't get ahead of yourselves. Robert Sticht, the Babbitt family lawyer, said a formal settlement agreement is expected to be signed within the next 3 weeks, according to ABC News. The U.S. Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd shot an unarmed Babbitt, 35, as she attempted to climb through a broken window of a barricaded door within the Capitol building on January 6. Babbitt was attempting, with hundreds of others of Trump supporters, to enter the Speaker's lobby of the Capitol building as some of the members of Congress were being evacuated and others were sheltering in place due to overwhelming riot. Only one shot was fired, hitting her in the shoulder. She was transported from the riot to Washington Hospital Center, where she succumbed to her injuries. Byrd was cleared of wrongdoing after an internal investigation by the U.S. Capitol, which found he acted in self-defense. He was hailed as a hero. He said he saved countless lives. Babbitt, San Diego, served 14 years in the Air Force, including time spent in Afghanistan, Iraq. Now, can you imagine serving your country so that some fuckwad with a gun can kill you? And by the way, he is a fuckwad. I apologize for swearing. Michael Byrd did not exactly have the most stellar record as a police officer. This is a jackass, by the way, who left his firearm in the Capitol building bathroom for an extended period of time. And he had other incidents which would lead you to question his good judgment, of which he had none. It almost looks like he was looking to kill somebody that day, make an example, and we're going to get to that in a second because there is something to that. Some emails that some people don't know about. Before her death, Babbitt's social media history showed that she was a major Trump supporter, would sometimes post about the political conspiracy theory QAnon. Back in March, Trump said he was going to look into Babbitt's death and financial compensation for the January 6 rioters who served time in prison. This is a middle finger to the Biden administration. I mean, this is the Trump administration coming in now and basically saying this settlement, whatever it's going to be, is an acknowledgement of government wrongdoing, but not my government's wrongdoing. And it is something of a middle finger to Biden that he is going to show him that what his administration, the Biden did, inexcusable, tyrannical. And so this settlement, in as much as it comes out of taxpayer dollars and it comes from the American government, is an admonishment of what Biden and his regime did during their 4 years of destruction and devastation. Now, one can only hope he's going to do the same thing with the Jan 6ers at large, to make a statement that, no, we are not only not going to pursue the injustices of your administration, we're going to compensate the victims of those injustices and blame it on you. Maybe he does the same thing with some of the persecutions that were instituted by the Biden administration. Maybe by pardoning Roger Ver. Why would he want to continue to pursue a prosecution by the Biden administration of Bitcoin Jesus when he's trying to normalize Bitcoin and even talk about having it not be taxable? We'll see what happens with that. It's a good indication that not only is Trump cutting ties with what the Biden administration did, he's not shy to pay people to compensate them for those injustices. All right, that's the good news, in as much as there can be good news in terms of compensating the estate for the murder of their of Ashli Babbitt. You may or may not remember that Michael Byrd raised. Does anybody know this? Do you guys know that Michael Byrd had a go F me? Because he had to raise money for himself because he was getting harassed, et cetera, et cetera. Does anybody know how much he raised in his go F me? Peanuts compared to Carmelo Anthony, but not quite peanuts compared to Carmelo Anthony. This is it. Like I feel crazy because I remember these things, and then it's impossible to find them when they get memory hold afterwards. He actually raised $164,000 on his Give Send Go. Concerned Close Friends is organizing this fundraiser. Lieutenant Michael Byrd is a national hero. No, he's not. He's a 28-year veteran, Capitol Police, served over a decade, yada, yada, yada. When an armed mob, that's a fucking lie. I mean, that's a lie right there. They were not armed, period. So when a mob, not armed, overran the Capitol with the intent of disrupting Congress and preventing them from certifying, oh, no, we have to kill somebody for that. What does it say here? Many, unable to respond with force because they were overrun by the violent mob, lie, were badly beaten and tasered. I'd go with lie on that too. When the mob began to enter the final ring of protection inside the inner sanctum of the House, Lieutenant Byrd was in the forefront of the last line of defense, obligated to use lethal force rather than living their dream home. And he can't live in his dream home? Well, neither can Ashli Babbitt that he killed. I'll neither read the rest of this crap. He raised $164,000. There's another lesser known part of this story that was reported at the time that's very suspicious. Screenshot, this is it. Yes, here we go. It's very, very difficult to read. This is Michael Byrd to Thomas DeBias Memorial Fund. And the wording of this email could cause someone to think that there was something of an agreement between authorities and Michael Byrd. Let me see something. Do I want to start from the bottom? Here we go. This is Michael Byrd wrote to whomever. Good evening. Can you advise the status of the Memorial Fund and the background check? Then you got DeBias to Mike. I'll let Karen update you on the background check, but for the memorial fund, we have all your information. We are working on an announcement from the entire department as to how folks injured on Jan 6 can apply to the fund, and we will consider all the claims at that point. Tad, says Michael Bird, I don't think it's fair to me and my wife. You know our situation and what we've been dealing with. What you proposed could take months. Our expectation was that this would be done soon. Now you're telling me we got to wait for the rest of the department to even file claims, get evaluated, and go through the process we have endured for months. This is blatantly wrong to treat us like that. This was never proposed to us in this manner. Now we're being grouped in with everyone else. Wow, that is really bad for you. This is really bad for you all to do this to us when you knew we're expecting to have the funds soon. So disappointing. Mike, I'm sorry you are disappointed. I find that surprising since we have already provided you $36,000 in unrestricted retention funds. You know what the rest of the department is receiving? $3,000 each. And please be sure to decline that amount since we already provided the maximum we can provide to you. Yes, you are being lumped in with the other 91 officers who suffered injuries that day. The memorial fund is for the entire department, not one officer. It will take months, but more like weeks. It will not take months, but more like weeks, during which we are providing you housing, training to take a department shotgun home, and extensive security upgrades at your personal residence. I don't think that's unfair. Tad, this is a good one. We play the game as you request, and then once we're in compliance, you guys change the rules on us. Am I crazy, or does this sound a little bit suspicious? We play the game as you request. Then once we're in compliance, you guys change the rules on us. If we were aware that our situation would be looped in with everyone on the department, then we would have been better prepared. We were expecting this was for us, and everyone else has their own situation. They would all be handled on a case-by-case basis. The amount received for the retention fund was less than $24,000 after taxes. Please prepare a letter defining how we will be reimbursed for the security upgrades before we make any purchases. I will have to use credit card and pay for those things recommended. I will have video of the work being done, before and after pictures, and all receipts for materials, equipment, labor for installation. Unfortunately, I can no longer rely on a verbal conversation. This has proven ineffective for me and my wife. To ensure we are on the same page and have the same expectations, this would be the desired method. Regards, Mike. Just so you know, my wife is vividly upset and in tears because of this news. We have to wait additionally for the fund and can't get approval to start the GoFundMe. Happy holidays. Encryptus, what do you think this all sounds like? Am I getting too crazy? This is just him getting angry after the fact. And then when he doesn't get it, he starts a GoFundMe. And I remember at the time, there were a lot of anonymous donations as well. It's fucking criminal. It's criminal. In my humble opinion, hashtag no defamation. Anyhow, now the administration's looking into it. There would be something to look into for that, because there reeks of conspiracy. This man does what he does, gets summarily exonerated, praised by the media, security upgrades, lump sum payments, massive amounts of money, a huge GoFundMe. It smells like Chinatown. I don't even know if that's the line from the movie. I know it is not, and hopefully I don't get canceled. Oh man,